and Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's do this, guys. Welcome. And we have an awesome guest today. We are pumped up to have the man, Ben Stewart, on with us. How you doing, my friend?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Canada, Mr. Call Out.
Okay.
Mr. Business, Mr. Everything right here, man. He's the man.
So wait, I got a question quick. Ben, are you on vacation?
I am kind of. Yeah, no, we this summer with the family, we were looking at the whole COVID deal, kind of predicting there was going to be a lot of shutdowns up in Canada, possibly schools shutting down. So we decided to move the family down to Curacao in the South Caribbean. So we came down the start of October. We've been here for 2.5 months, and we're homeschooling the kids. They're training every day, and what better time to do a little call out and get a little training going myself? Awesome. So we've been here for 2.5 months.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's all right.
I normally don't have elephants in my bedroom, but in this house. At this house, comes with elephants.
Here's why I was wondering. I think I saw something that like you and your family were out on the beach, and I thought, I don't think there's beaches like that in Canada. And then I saw this is the wild one. Did you tackle an iguana?
We were just talking about that.
I had a bit of a battle with an iguana this morning. The kids are supposed to go to the pool for the training, and this iguana ran in. It's got to be like 4 feet with the tail. It jumps in while I was on the treadmill this morning, and we were watching it. It never left. And I came out, and the kids are like, I'm not going in the pool. I'm like, all right, man. Well, you get training, and so I guess I'm going to go to war with this thing. And it's fast. These things are fast under the water, and it wasn't very enjoyable.
Wow. No, and I think the tail is what you have to worry about. Like the tail can whip you, and if it whips you, it can like cut you pretty good.
I don't know, but it was swirling around my leg. It was the spikes on its back came up. I don't know, man. I won't be doing that anytime soon. But the kids needed to train, so priorities had to take over.
There you go.
Got to get them in the pool.
We have we've had a lot of crazy animal attack stories on our show. You know, Alex got bit by a bat, and all this stuff. So just join the club, I guess. This is what happens. Team Benny. All right. Yeah. Tristan Keller. Thanks for watching. Awesome. All right. So we're going to get started first with our competitors of the week. We didn't do that last week. So Alex, you ready to go, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going to go first. My competitor of the week is Alex Lane. Alex Lane, we've talked about a number of times on the show. Alex Lane is definitely in the top kickers list of top kickers in tournament history of all time. That's definitely one thing Alex is, great at. I think, we know Alex is really tall. He's like 6'4", but if you ever stood next to him, his hips would start at a normal guy's like
shoulders.
Yeah, it's messed up. But you're like, even if you were the same height as him, which you're not, right? No. Most people aren't. It's still like an unfair advantage as far as the reach. But what's interesting most about Alex Lane is Alex, and this is what I love most about him, is what a lot of people don't, is Alex stayed around longer than his peak. So he's really got like 3 eras as far as his competition, because there was like the hype era, because we knew him as a junior. We saw the kid, he had that Taz on his black belt, right? That was his nickname, I think. And then as soon as he hit adult, I mean, he was not on Paul Mitchell for 4, 5, 6 months. And then they were like, all right, this is enough for this. Please come on.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of that year, he was like making it to finals.
Yeah,
And,
he won his first overall of that year at Capital Classics.
right. So it was like right away. It was like, this is the guy, right? He was probably one of my favorite guys on Paul Mitchell, who was there. And if you think about it, like I was actually talking to Greg Betlock, who was on Paul Mitchell on the same time, and I said, "Man, your team is so boring. Your team is so boring. It's you and Elias, and I love he and Elias, by the way. And I'm like, you guys are just a bunch of introverts. Like I would stick out. I would not have that kind of fun, except for Alex. Alex would go. Alex would have a fun time. He would joke around with people. But the dude won all the time. He didn't. And here was the knock on Alex. The knock on Alex was, if you can bust him up, you can take him out, which could have been true, except the thing that you wanted to do, because he was so long, was you wanted to get inside his leg so that he couldn't defensive sidekick you. Alex is no Dumbo, all right? He didn't try to defensive sidekick. Alex just really, he got great at doing a defensive punch. And since he has 17.5-foot arms, he still beats you, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing that. So he was dominant. There was a year where he won more overalls than anybody.
Yep.
And then the Hungarians get picked up. He's not as active. I think he kind of took a step down, maybe as far as his explosiveness. He wasn't as effective all the time. Yeah. Alex Reyes jumped on. Alex Lane won a lot of overalls, a lot. But then he stuck around a little bit more. Once he wasn't like the guy or one of the main guys, when Paul Mitchell would field their team, when it was kind of thinking about like, oh, is Alex Lane going to be the alternate? And he was. I actually loved Alex Lane most then, right?
Yeah.
Because I so badly wanted him to win and be like, yeah, sucker, I still got it. But he didn't, and that's okay. But so when I say he's really got 3 eras of his
right
tenure as a martial arts competitor, and that's kind of what it is. But there was a time where he won more than everybody when a lot of people were active as well. So my competitor of the week, Alex Lane, fantastic guy. I think he and Preston Clements would train together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, they would. And he also won a WACO, one of the first USA competitors to win a WACO title during that kind of
he won it in 2007.
Yes.
2007 in Portugal.
And you would definitely know. Were you there?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you were there. What am I?
I love my WACO. The thing about Alex, and he kind of reminds me of he's a right-legged Tom Roberts. If I had him to compare him against someone, not necessarily the way they fight, but more his hip joint, and the way his hip was able to move.
Yeah.
And Alex's leg, southpaw, super long, but it was very deceptive because when you watch it from the outside, to me, it always looked floppy. The leg went out there to look like it was just being flopped out. Until I fought him the first time, and I'm like, dude, this kick is real, man. There's something behind this thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a snake. It was go. It would shoot out a little different than the other kicks. And Tom Roberts always had this hip socket that would just be able to rotate any distance you're at. He could kick you in the head. So
didn't it piss you off too? Pisses you off, right?
Well, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. But yeah. But Alex was with the teams coming into WACO, and like I was there in 03, 05, and then I believe he won in Portugal in 2007. A lot of the guys struggled those first 2 rounds in 2003 and 5. In 03, it was Jody and Reggie winning, and Preston Clements in 2003. 2005, not really many, but in 2007 they had a good year in Portugal. But yeah, Alex is the man, and he'll win a tournament and then walk around in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat too.
Yeah.
At the tournament.
Yeah,
so you gotta love that. All
right,
and it's not even in Texas.
What's funny, right. I'll tell you this. This is and then I'll be done on my Alex Lane part. He's gonna hate me on this one, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. Okay, so I love the Bluegrass Nationals, one of my favorite ones. So I'm probably 23, 24. I've never had a real Kentucky bourbon, nor would I have appreciated it at that age. So we would always drive down. Greg Betlock's dad would always say, let's just drive down together, guys. Just come in. I'll take care of you guys as far as getting there and back. Just let me. I'd love to do this. So, okay, that was his one tournament a year that he would do that for. And he says, hey, after the tournament, I want to take us all out. We'll get a nice Kentucky bourbon. We're in Louisville. Let's get a good one. Everybody will appreciate it here. On my treat. So I'm like, all right. Now, yeah, picture. We're 21, 22, 23, maybe 24. Nobody's going to like this, right? Nobody's going to like this at that age. So we're all like, all right, we're just going to just sit this to be done, right, guys? That's all we're going to do. So we do that. All of us do it. Alex has not yet done it. I look over at him. This is the funniest part. It hits his lips, and he's like, and he sprays it out and hits the bartender right as the bartender turns around. And to this day, he always says, oh, no. You made me laugh, Alex. That's what it was. I was like, I saw what happened. I saw that. I know what you did.
Oh, man.
That's probably one of the funniest things of all time. Love that part.
Oh, man. That's great.
In his cowboy hat and cowboy boots.
Of course.
There we go. Of course.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right. So my competitor of the week, and I'm sure actually he was your competitor the week before. But
then you did the family after.
Yeah. And so he's got a big weekend, actually 2 weeks coming up. He's got several fights coming up, and that is Jason Tankson Borelli. And my teammate, my friend, my brother, I've known Jason for a long time, followed him on the NBL circuit. And so it was just funny to see this guy, especially in the juniors, this big kid that would whoop everyone in fighting and then get into a purple sequence uniform and do forms. Nice. I still mess with him with a sequence uniform. I always do. And he also would go and win soft style. And he's just an overall martial artist. He's
my favorite overall martial artist of all time.
I agree. Yeah, he is up there. And man, he and the thing that made him stand out in the forms was that jump front kick, right? And it's just you. Yeah, wait a minute.
You swear he would dunk a basketball with his foot with that thing.
Right. I've seen him hit the net with it or go like right in the center. So it's crazy. And
so I'm not all right.
No, you're not. No, you're not off. He did that, because Mike Conroy at school, he used to have a basketball goal in his school for some reason at one point. And so when we were there training, we were like, all right, this is the chance to see if you could do this, Jason. So he pretty much did it. But so one of the best fighters of all time and still going out there today and killing it. Great teammate, great friend. For the longest time, he was at every freaking tournament there was for a good, I think maybe 10 years, maybe more than that, really, when you think about it.
Right.
He went everywhere, NASCA, NBL, WKA, WACO, whatever it was, going to Europe, doing local tournaments still, going to seminars here and there. He was one of the most active fighters of that 2000s era, and
he's had a lot of addresses around that time as well. Yes. He spent some time in California. He spent, from Chicago, spent some time in I think like Colorado. He spent some time. He's been all over. Right.
Yeah. And so and he was even in Canada, right? Right, Vin? Go ahead and share.
That's right. Yes. Well, it's funny. You were talking about competitor of the year, competitor of the week right away. I'm like, oh, Jason Tankson. So first, shout out to him for jumping on both the Pro Point, the virtual tour. I even told him to do the virtual forms tour backstage of the Pro Point if he could.
Why not, right?
Dude?
So I'm just gonna give a personal story of Jason. Back in 2002, in the fall of 2002, I just got back from the WKA in Italy, and at the time he was in Chicago. And was looking for an opportunity. I said, hey man, my school's growing right now. Come on up, help my guys. Cause I was pretty much a fighting only school at that time with kind of a lower level forms and open forms program going. and he came up here and lived with us for 4 or 5 months. But the two things I wanted to bring up about that time, because I mean, we all know his fighting, we all know his competition, his forms, the whole works. Here's what I used to do. We'd be in the club, the students would be all around, and anytime there was parents around or any type of bigger event, I'd just walk up to Jason and say, Jason, what do you think? Can you do a little demo for them? He's like, yeah, I guess. He's like, what kind of demo do you want? I don't know, man. Like, and I'd look over at the side and find like 2 sticks on the ground. I'd pick up these 2 sticks. I'm like, can you do something with this? And he's like, what? Any weapon, baton, nunchucks, size. I just pick something up and say, hey guys, you guys want to see something like this? And I hand it to him and he'd look at me. He's like, you want me to go? I'm like, yeah, just do that. You know what to do. And he would bust out, I'm telling you, on the spot. And it would look like high level open forms NASCA with any weapon I could pick up. So that was the first. So when I saw that, the first couple times I did it, and it became like the ongoing joke. Hey, what's the weapon going to be this time? I'd find something else and throw it at him. When I saw that, I quickly realized this is a generational talent. And of all the years I've traveled the whole world, I've trained with people all over the world, I've never seen a pure martial artist that's just so natural, both sides, kicking both sides, blitzing both sides, the whole works. The next thing, and this is hopefully he's going to see this, and the Oscar dude won't see this, or whoever he's fighting.
Yeah, Yokesar.
Yokesar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been around in a bit, so I don't know who this guy is, but he looks pretty strong. So when he was training with me, and you got to remember, he's 40, so that was 2002, 18 years. He was 22 years old. Okay, so let's just say he was pretty fast at the time. And let's just say. And we would fight. We'd fight every night. We'd fight together. At what classes would end, we'd be sparring almost every single night. And I'm going to say something. I've never had a guy fought anyone, and I've sparred with just about anybody. When he has his right leg in front, when he's fighting with his right leg in front, at that time, I literally could not score a point on him. His defensive psychic, he didn't have to step away, chamber up. No, the guy is like out of the video game Street Fighter or Tekken. He could literally just pick his leg up, throw the psychic with no movement. And, in a tournament, lots of stuff happens. Some guys are better matchups than others. But when you're in a club and you're training with someone on a daily basis, you can stretch it out. Like a guy I might lose to in 2 minutes, I'll just fight him 15 rounds in the club and I'll eventually wear him down and start getting my way. When his right leg was in front, I couldn't do anything with this guy. But during his matches, for some reason, I think he just wants to please his own happiness, he'll switch left leg forward. Yeah. He'll put his left leg forward. Maybe it's to throw a rear axe or some craziness. But when that left leg was forward, I knew, I can score a point this minute. And I would start to go on him. So, Jason, put your right leg in forward. Don't switch it. Don't switch it.
Yes.
Bring it home. Bring it home, baby. Right leg
exactly.
Forward. I think I'm excited to see how he does. I think the way it's set up, he definitely he's going to have some great matchups. I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said?
He called the highest points. He called the highest points ever, and people were wondering, why does he do that? He normally doesn't do that kind of thing. No. You're freaking 40 years old, man. If you want success in this life, you got to be willing to be the overdog rather than the underdog. You got to be willing to open your mouth and put it on the line, because that's going to put the pressure on him to perform, and he will perform. I'm very confident. He's going to have a tough time with Jack in the finals if he can get there.
Right. But and then against Yokesar, I think that's going to be a great fight. And
it's going to be a great fight.
And I'm excited to see Jason just continue to take it up. He's focused so much more on his balance, his flexibility, and things during this time, which I think you need to. Your body control and all that. We can't rely just on our athletic ability, which he still has it. I mean, it's not like he's lost it that much. So.
Put your right leg in front, man. Just put your right leg in front.
Just do it. But yeah, I'm excited to see it, and I think, man. I mean, it's
going to be good.
It's going to be the Tankston show, and so I'm excited.
Heck yeah!
I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up.
He's going to come out, and he's going to do. So we've all seen that where he comes out and he's like, shows up to the tournament late, like they just called the division. All right, I'm put gear on. Oh, they're calling my fight right now. All right, I'll go fight right now. And you're like, I I could never perform what you just did, and you didn't even breathe hard. You didn't even stretch.
That's right.
Yeah, and he'll start it off with a full split axe kick that he slides across the mat and drops on someone's head. You know, that's because that's the warm-up technique, right?
That's right.
Man,
Hey,
love it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right. So let's get into it, man. Ben, we could go all over the place, but let's go ahead and just start with your background.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you get involved in the martial arts? And
great.
go.
Let's roll. So 1987. I was born in 78, so I was 9 years old. I actually started with Tarian Jiu-Jitsu. So my first martial arts as a child, it was 5 years of Jiu-Jitsu. So from 1987 through 92. Now, when I was doing that, my whole family was doing it. My brothers and sisters, they were all doing it, and my dad. And
Wow.
but what I liked was the point sparring. And at that time, jiu-jitsu clubs also did point sparring. And they, over the years, as BJJ came in, they kind of moved away from that. But at that time, traditional jiu-jitsu did the point sparring. So my dad actually took me out of it because all I wanted to do was fight. I was doing all the flips, the chokes, all that stuff, but all I wanted to do was fight. So 12, 13, I stopped. Through high school, I actually trained in Jeet Kune Do, self-study in Jeet Kune Do.
How was that?
I just got the Tao Jeet Kune Do book and just all of his books and his learnings, and I was self-studying.
Yeah.
It was just something different. I mean, because I didn't have a club, and going through high school, my sport was baseball. I played Division I soccer, and then I played a baseball. So I was actually a baseball player was my passion. But as a Canadian, you kind of have to, it's a little bit trickier being up in Canada, making it through with the baseball. So when I was 17 years old, I was in grade 12, and I was walking home from school, and I'm walking down the street, and I look up on the plaza, and I see World Championship Steve Anderson Karate on this banner, and I'm like, well, that's not Nasty Anderson. That's not the guy from the karate magazines. I'm like, there's no way. And I walked upstairs. It was October 15th, 1995.
Nice. He's got the date down.
Oh yeah. I walked up and I see Marco Loyer, ponytail, doing double round kicks on a focus pad and Mr. A holding for him. I walk in, I'm like, okay, it's actually him. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm in Canada, Ontario in Canada, and I'm seeing Nasty Anderson holding a focus pad 10 minutes from my house. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on here. So I came around the corner. And he's
You're trying to process everything.
I don't know what's going on.
Going too fast.
He comes around the corner. He's like, "What's up, lad?" I'm like, "This is your karate school?" He's like, "Yeah, what's wrong with you, boy?" I'm like, I don't know." And I'm like, "I want to do karate." And he's like, "You'll quit, blood. All the dudes quit." And I'm like, "Well, I can kick like that guy." And he's like, "No, you can't." And I'm like, "How do I sign up? I want to sign up for black belt membership." And he's like, "Okay, come in with me. I'll take your money." And we walked into the office, and I signed up for black belt membership on the spot. 2 years and 2 months later, I'm a black belt. I started from white belt with him, white to black in 2 years in karate. And
Wow.
And then I was on the NASCA circuit by 98.
Wow.
As a 19-year-old. So, I mean, I got nasty stories that'll go all night, but you just let me know how you want me to limit it. So, so I got out there, and so 99, 98 or 99 was my first NASCA, and I kind of explained this to you guys the past week when we were just chatting. I started a lawn care business when I was 16 years old. So since I was 16 years old, 25 years, I've run a landscaping, which then turned into like a direct sales and service business. So my busy season is always February through August. So initially, I wasn't a nationwide company, and the business was more just a spring business. It wasn't taking the whole year. And so I went to the Compete Nationals. It was the very first NASCA tournament I ever went to. It was Compete Nationals. I think it was 98. And ran in division late. I was late for my division, threw my stuff on, and walked into the ring. And my very first fighter I ever fought in a NASCA event was Jody Tension. And right off the bat, I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. Mr. is like, just blitz him. And right off the line, I blitz him, and he sidekicks me right in the throat. welcome to NASCA.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. And my active career went from kind of 98 as an adult through to 2005. So that was the period of time in which I actually was a full-time martial artist. I ran karate schools. I had 3 schools in Ottawa. We had about 750 members. We were a competitive school while running my lawn care business. And it's funny because when I started my lawn care business, it was because I was 16 and my aspirations was someday I want to be a karate instructor. Someday I want to own a karate school. That was my kind of goal, my end game goal. And at 16, when you have an orange belt, you can't exactly own a karate school. So start a lawn care business. And who would have ever thought that kind of the polar opposite switched, where I did run that and I had that passion and I absolutely loved competing. I competed 52 times in 1 year. I mean, I was busy.
Yeah.
I was busy. And a lot of people don't realize that because it wasn't NASCA always, you know?
Right.
No, I'm just thinking of the math.
It's double 2 times. I learned it from my instructor. You know, I learned it from my instructor.
Okay,
He said, you gotta find the weekends you can do 2 on a weekend, you know, because then you can have a week off at some point. Right. And oh yeah. So that went through the 2005. And during that window, I was doing NASCA, I was coming down, but unfortunately, based on my lifestyle and the way my business worked, that whole March through May was always a write-off. And if I was going to go to a tournament, I'd be out of shape. I wouldn't be trained. So I was always missing that really busy season with the Ocean State and like that window of time in Canada and the US is a very busy time. So that's why I would normally only be seen at the Compete Nationals. I fought there like 5 times out of 6 years. I would go to the Diamonds. I saw you guys at the Diamonds and Pan Ams. Like I'd go to them in the kind of the seasons where I could actually be training or be ready for it. And 2005 Irish Open. I went to the Irish about 8 or 9 times, but 2005 Irish Open in the finals against Sam Timmins, I detached my groin muscle from my pelvic bone. And I was there alone. I was fighting. I was in the finals, and that was the end of my career. So, and a lot of people don't realize that as well, but it was 2005 in the finals, and my foot got caught on the mat as I'm skip kicking, and it snapped, and the Magnus groin muscle popped off my pelvis bone, and went down. They're like, medic. I'm like, no. I'm like, I gotta win this fight. I got up. I tried to do a Karate Kid thing in the overtime, and anyways, it didn't work. And by the time I got back to the hotel, I didn't want to go to a hospital. I didn't have any coaches there. Like I was there alone. Like I self-represented all over the world. Most of the time, no coach. And on the plane ride home, I went into shock. Got
What do you mean?
My body, because what had happened was the groin muscle, I didn't go to a hospital. It was coiling back into my quad.
Stop.
Yeah. So it coiled back 16 centimeters into my leg. And I lost on the plane ride home. I was 235 when I fought. I got home, I was 210.
No.
Wow.
So it was that on the plane. If you remember the movie X-Men, where I don't know, one of the Magneto or whoever, someone turned to water and the water just came out of him in one of the early X-Men. Well, that was me on the plane. I got to 104 temperature. Water just started coming out of my body. And they had to take all the, like we were over the ocean when this happened. They had to move all the people away from me. And man, you should have seen my girlfriend when I got home. They brought me in on a wheelchair, and she didn't even recognize me. Like, I'm like, hey, like, I mean, I was going by her, but I had lost
1 year in a wheelchair,
25 pounds in a day of water.
That's crazy.
I didn't even know that's possible.
Well, I mean, you see the UFCers do it, right?
Well,
I mean, but this happens, man. And it was pretty nuts. And at that point, the doctors, I went to the sports medicine doctors for the Ottawa Senators, and they said, dude, you'll never kick again. You'll never fight again. So they told me that in 2005, March. And it was black and blue from my pelvis to my knee. And when finally they did the ultrasounds to look in, the doctors decided they couldn't reattach it. So
Stop.
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty much if I were to go in a straddle stretch, this leg, my kicking leg, it's not attached.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So what ended up happening was, you know, they're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe you can switch sides and fight on. I'm like, dude, like if you switch sides, you've got to stretch that leg.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It makes
thing.
no difference.
Yeah.
But they don't know that, right? And then
exactly.
So I made a decision that I spent a couple months researching. I found out about a program called Core Performance. His name's Mark Verstegen. He runs a program called Athletes Performance, which is now called Axiom. And it was down in Phoenix, Arizona. And he pretty much trains pro athletes. And I went down, got an exemption because my world titles. And I got in there and I was training with the LA Galaxy, with the Phoenix Coyotes, with in New York Giants. And they put me with NFL football players. And they actually trained and taught me how to change kicking from my groin to my hip.
No, wait a minute.
Wow.
Wait a minute. What?
I have not used my groin muscle in 15 years.
Okay, so
Wow.
tell us
that's
the difference for those of us that don't know.
Yeah.
We might be using one or the other and not know it. Tell us what you know.
Yeah.
Well, are you talking about the groin again? Are we talking about the groin here? Yeah. It's pretty much your hip and the hip capsule and the muscles that go around it. I mean, you can literally do exercises to build up the exterior, the muscle groups around it, where when you start to pull, to lift your knee, you're actually changing the mechanics of your brain to actually lift with the outside of the hip. Most guys will just pick up their knee and they stretch their groin and they can bring it up. Right. And that's why when you get a groin pull, you're like, oh, I'm not going to kick for a couple months because my groin's bad right now. Well, I kept pulling my groin over and over again. Finally, it snapped. And so that then brings you to the question is, okay, so what happened then? Well, I decided once I went down there and lived there for a month. And then I started going there every year. And I'd be there at 8 a.m. They would feed me, nutritional plan, 2 hours of PT a day, and I would train 9 hours a day with these guys. And then at night, I was going and I was training with Rick Rufus at the Lions Den. I was doing Muay Thai with Rick Rufus. I've always done I've done BJJ. I've trained at the Lions Den with the Brazilian heavyweight world champion BJJ. Like I've always done other things beyond sport karate. I just competed in sport karate and kickboxing. So, I just decided that I wasn't going to allow these doctors to tell me I wasn't going to be able to do something anymore. And
that's what I'm talking about.
I made a decision that not only will I fight again, but 6 months after that injury, I went to the WKAs in Niagara Falls. I won the kickboxing world title. A week later, I flew to Hungary to the 2005 Walker World Championships. And I went double gold, the karate and the kickboxing double gold. 6 months after being told I'd never kick again. But then, to be honest, the pain level I was going through, I stopped competing. So I actually retired in 2005 and no one saw me for 2 years. And then starting in 2007, 2008, I started coming just for fun, fighting a tournament here and there. I was no longer in the karate business. I haven't run karate schools since 2008. I've owned schools, but I haven't been there. Like I've bought and sold schools, but I haven't been an active martial artist for 13 years. And when I decide that I want to go to a world championships, I'll put it on the calendar and 90 days out, I'll start training. And this has been my life's work.
Is it that you do it 90 days out? Because if you just do it continually, like your groin's not going to be able to take it.
So between 2007 and 2013, I would just time it. And that's the reason why you never saw me on. I mean, I showed up to a Diamonds one time, like I showed up to here and there, but really you never really saw me down there because I couldn't actually train karate anymore. I couldn't actually work my wall kicks and my skip kicks. I would have to literally just do all the muscle plyometrics, the explosive power, the flexibility, everything that kind of goes together with it. And then that way I can peak right at the right time to actually fight. And that's why world championships were perfect, because I could build up through the fall. My summer business would be done, and I would build up for the fall. And that's why I'm showing up to world championships and winning. But at the end of the day, if you check me out in March, I'd be a disaster. But I can peak for October, right? So that's just been, Do you see what I mean? So that was the model I used for those years. And then in 2013, finally, I said, okay, I told my wife, I'm like, okay, let me do a couple more. I'll finish them. And then I'll go to the doctors. Because I've known for years my hip was gone. So by switching from groin to hip, I burnt the hip socket out.
Right.
That's why I got the hip replacement at 35 years old. Because,
wow.
So in 5 years, just fooling around with this new model they taught me, it destroyed my hip completely.
You got a groin with cable cord, and you got a hip.
Oh man!
And then you're calling out a kid in his 20s and saying, "Let's run this 3-round match."
Okay, so now we're talking present day. Okay,
no, I'm just saying.
Hey, we're getting there.
We're getting there. We're working there. We're working there. So
wait. Beforehand, okay. I want to tell you. Your guy is giving you a shout out. Emmanuel St. Louis says, "Welcome to Ben's world."
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I don't see any of the comments, so you just let me know. But
I'll let you know.
So you had asked me, and maybe I'll finish this part about the more recent stuff. But you had asked me when we talked to talk about my era of the heavyweight fighters during my era.
Definitely.
I mean, if you think about it, my era as an adult, I was a black belt in '97, and I fought at the World Championships last year. So, I mean, it's 20 years. But when I think about my era, I think about when I was a full-time martial artist and actually competing. Correct. And that was, to me, 99 through 2005. So in that window, when I was actually coming down, doing the NASCAR circuit, doing all the Canadian tournaments, doing the World Championships, WACO, WKA, I don't freaking care. You give me some letters. You give me an international place. I'll buy the ticket. I don't need sponsorship. I'm not going to say, oh, I need money in order to go. No. That's my country. I'm going to come and I'm going to bust you up. Like this is the mentality, right? But I want to talk about at that time, locally. So we're talking the local tournaments in Canada at that time. Yeah. My division in that window. And if you're coming on here and you're seeing this, like I just thought of 3 more names. I don't want people to be insulted. It's not that I'm not bringing your name up right now, but the heavyweight division, both in Canada, the US, and Europe in that window was very tough to get through. Yeah. Even at a local tournament. So, and you'll know these names. One of them you might not, because I don't know how much Nasky did, but he was badass. So in the average local tournament where I would do 20 of these a year, 25 of these a year, you got to get past Emmanuel St. Louis.
Yep.
You got to get past Emmanuel St. Louis. You got to get past Rene Perreault.
Yeah.
You got to get past Tom Roberts.
Yep.
You got to get past Yannick Turgeon. That's the guy you might not know, but badass.
Yeah.
And you got to get past David Bissonnette.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. Every tournament.
That's just a local tournament. Yeah.
But that's at every tournament. That's at every tournament at that time. So, and shout out to Emmanuel. Emmanuel and I had such a great rivalry when I first hit the black belt division. And remember, these are guys in their 20s now. This is not these guys later on. These are all in their main primes. And Emmanuel, the first 2 years we fought, there's no guy that took more money away from me in grand championships than Emmanuel St. Louis. We would find ways to meet up in the grands. And in the first 2 years we fought, he would take these $1,000 grands from me locally. He would take them from me. So this is, I want to tell a couple other Steve Anderson stories, but I'm going to give you one right now. So the first five times we had fought, Emmanuel's won at least three to four of them, at least, maybe 4 to 5. And it was always grands. So I turned to Mr. A and he's like, boy, why don't you just hit him with your reverse punch? You hit everyone else with your reverse. Why don't you just hit him with your reverse punch? And I'm like, I can't reach him. Like it's too far. And he's like, no, terrible. He's like, I'll fix it. So I'm like,
terrible,
okay,
I'll fix it.
So I'm like, what are you gonna do? He walks over to Emmanuel and says, Emmanuel, come out to my club. You want to come train with me? Come up from Montreal. Come train with me. Oh, yes, sir. Okay, yes, sir. He says, Ben, don't come. I'll videotape it. So Emmanuel comes out to train with Mr. Yeah. Emmanuel comes out to train with Mr. A. And now at this point, we're talking 2000, like Mr. A's like he's in his 40s, like
Yeah.
you know, and Emmanuel's in his 20s,
and Mr. A was still fighting then.
Of course, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and competing.
So
wow.
So he goes out there. Emmanuel comes out there, and Emmanuel's gonna love this story. And he literally just reverse punched Emmanuel for an hour and a half straight of training, over and over again, scoring with a reverse punch. So he comes back, he brings the video to me. He's like, I can show it to you, or I could just call you a pussy. But the point is that you need to start throwing your reverse punch. This guy's very reverse punchable. He's very reverse punchable. And you're going to start doing that. And so the next 5-6 times I fought Emmanuel, I won every single fight, and it was all the reverse punch.
Reverse punch.
So that's this. So when people ask me about, what was it like training with Nasty Anderson, he was such a genius. But he was the coach that wasn't just going to say, just do it, just train harder. No, he's like, okay, dude, you're losing to a guy you shouldn't be. Let me fix it for you.
Right.
And he'll actually come and prove it, not just in words, but in actions. Okay, so that's Canada. That's a local division.
Put this comment up, though, Travis. This is a funny comment.
Oh, what do we got?
Emmanuel.
Is it Emmanuel?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't.
Okay, no worries. When it comes up.
Yeah,
So
but I'll read it. So my dad
Mike.
warned me about this one, but worth it nonetheless.
About going and training. Yeah, about going and training with Mr. A. Yeah, it's not a good idea coming to train with Mr. A and I. We're going to sit there with our science board and our sales process, and we're going to take that fight and we're going to put it all in here and pop out what we need to do the next time we see you. So we would sit there, Mr. A and I, for hours and just talk about fighters and their styles and their movements and their tells. And so thank you, Emmanuel, for coming out, because, man, you took a lot of money from me early in my career. Okay, so the Americans.
Yeah.
When at that time, in that window, and again, some of these guys, like, I could add to the list, because
Good
some
heavyweights at that time.
Some of them fought light heavy, and some tournaments heavy based on the division, but they would bounce. So I'm going to bring up primarily the heavyweights that were usually always heavyweight. So who I was fighting in the divisions at that time, and this was pretty much 75% of these guys in any NASCA event I was in, was Damon Gilbert in his 20s, Brian Ruth in his 20s, Brian Plempel in his 20s, Carlos Tierney, BJ Carnahan more near the end of that. BJ Carnahan, Joey Greenhall more near the end of that. Awesome Dawson, Gerald Dawson. Yeah. I love fighting this guy, man. Brick wall, hit this guy. I'm like, what is this guy? This guy's a brick wall. Amazing. And another guy that we used to have really good battles was Ninja Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Lamont Fitzpatrick.
During that time. But like literally at that time, NASCA, that division was about 25 to 30 guys per division every tournament. But 9 or 10 of those guys were on that list every time.
Right. Yeah. And how about a guy like Steve Hart? Did you ever fight him?
Of course. Yeah. Oh, that's my point, is that I'm
and it was so, but see, Ben, is this accurate? Was this kind of what you would feel like? It was so deep at heavyweight then that there are guys that you're going to forget, but the guys at heavyweight now, it's not real deep.
No,
but the guys that are there,
they're good.
They're going to win overall. They're going to win it.
Okay,
right.
So the heavyweights are still winning the overall. Because I see like Avery, I see Cam, Gerald's son Cam, and they're actually pulling through. Because at that time, it was either one of those guys or Jason and Raymond at that time.
And Trevor,
right. And Trevor. I didn't even put Trevor on my Canadian list because he was lighter
he was middle
that era.
Yeah, he was probably middle then. Yeah,
exactly. There's one more category.
Go ahead.
There's one more category, and again, I really believe that this is what is being missed in a lot of these conversations is the heavyweights in Europe at that time.
Right.
And so in my career fighting in Europe, in the end, I've got about 300 fights in Europe. Wow. So, and it's about 200 point and 100 kickboxing.
Wow.
So when you look at my world, I mean, these days world titles are passed out like cookies and candy, right?
Yeah, like you're getting Skittles.
Right.
Yes. But for me, and when the splits started happening, I got frustrated because it really diluted the past and what I felt I accomplished.
What do you mean by when you say the split?
The splits, when WKA split into WKC, there's WKC, there's WKA. So you got 2,000 fighters one year, and the next year you got 1,000 and 1,000.
Right.
And now you start wondering, what's legit, what's not legit, and things like this. And at the end of the day, my opinion is when you're at an international competition in Europe and you got 30, 40 countries and people train for this event, it's a world championships if it's a world championships. Yep. And people have to make that commitment to come out there. And for me at that time, I was at a time when there was literally 2,000 people in Vienna, 2001 WK World Championships, and that was my first gold medal. You were there, Doc. Yeah. Yep. And in my division, I had 54 heavyweights.
Stop, man.
And in the semifinals, I had to defeat the 4-time defending champion Klaus Nanemacher.
Yep.
I beat him 6-1. And then I got to the finals and I 10 spread Brendan Mitty for the gold. But that's 2,000 fighters. That's 54 fighters. Like, these guys are good. So I wanted to give a shout out to Klaus Nanemacher because he was the guy, the torch I kind of took from the heavyweight in the WKAs. I want to shout out to Christian Sixel from Germany. A lot of people don't know that name. This guy had a long career, unbelievable leg. He would have been so good for NASCA. Christian Sixel out of Germany. They used to, when I started winning WK, the Germans, they had so many of them. They used to put 2 or 3 of them, even lighter weights, their gold medalists in the heavyweight just to beat me.
Wow.
And so I would have to be fighting multiple world champions to get through that heavyweight division once Klaus was gone.
Whoever that coach was who did that.
Yeah.
Smart coach.
Well, except for it didn't work, but it didn't work, but it was good. So a lot of Germans, Christian Sixel, Sam Timmons, extremely strong heavyweight, brainiac, super smart. Brendan Mitty, I 10 spread him in 2001. I come back the next year in Italy. I beat him in double overtime by 1 point with a jump away backspin hook kick to win by 1 point.
Yeah.
So Brendan Mitty and Brendan Mitty's like in his 40s and he's ripped to shreds. Like, these guys are amazing fighters. Marco Cularesi out of Italy. You'd have to look him up, but he was one of my hardest.
I don't know.
He was one of the hardest heavyweight fights I ever had at Waco. It was my first Waco world title. It was my semifinals. No, it was 2005. My second. I was fighting kickboxing in one ring.
Yeah.
And run out, take the gloves off, and 3-round fight point. And Marco Cularesi, man, I had 27 rounds in 2005. 27 rounds in 2005. So yeah, I can handle a 3-rounder next month. Yeah. And Dirk Hilgert out of Germany, great world champion. He had a heart problem a couple of years ago that he's retired, and he almost died sparring, blood valve to his heart, and he went straight down. His wife called 911, saved his life. But Dirk Hilgert, amazing left leg for, again, another guy that would have been amazing at NASCA. Yeah. A lot of guys in Europe with these big time lead legs and that. So I just thought shouting out the Europeans for the heavyweights during that time was important. Those guys were, to me, those were the 6 best at that time.
Yeah. And because we don't get to we hear a lot about them now, right? And we didn't as much then. There wasn't social media. There wasn't even YouTube. There was nothing, we were excited to finally be able to go when it was our time to. But
well, I got something on that as well as to why I think it's a little bit like that. But hey, Ben, you're getting a lot of love here. Jeff, why don't we read some of these?
Okay.
Jeff, my eyes are so bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think which one. Let's go. I'll go with Mike Pompeo. He just said Canada has always had some great talent. Here we go. Man, do I miss talking to Nasty at events. And then we'll go with Richard Osborne. He says, the sport needs Mr. Stewart, pure gold tonight.
Look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
Emmanuel St. Louis echoes what you said. He says, Marco and Dirk were great European heavyweight champions.
Yeah. Very, very strong, man. Very strong. Very strong.
And Q, Mark when McDonald was saying how you 54 heavyweights in one.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. That's nuts. That was a big championship. I remember. There's
a lot of fighters there. And that's why, like, it was sad to see the split in 2007 just because you never really see more than 1,200 or 1,000. But I mean, you're
Yeah.
still getting 25 in the division. But I mean, back in the day, like to think you have to battle through, and through my fighting career, I was always two sport. So I was doing the point and I was in the ring.
Yeah.
At the same events. So that definitely cost me some world titles, just in terms of injuries at the events. But it also, you know, I probably would have been a better kickboxer if I just focused on the kickboxing, because after the groin tears, when I came back and started competing at the Worlds, it was kickboxing titles I was winning.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2011, 12, and 13, it was kickboxing titles I was winning, because I have always felt the heavyweight kickboxers, man, they're just plotters. They didn't have the point movement, the speed. So even with a lower, like a 50% leg is still better as a lead distance leg than most of the kickboxers that I was up against at that time.
But you probably wanted to still do the point fighting. It wouldn't have been as fun without it, right?
Yeah, it was one of these things where when you're not doing this full time, and some guys alluded to that about, you know, Jason being concerned about Pro Point having multiple fights and cooling down and having to get back up on your next fight. But for me, yeah, not him exactly. Yeah. For me, it was, you know, at a world championship, you've got to keep your body together across 5 or 6 days, across both sports. So you're having these kickboxing fights where, although you're going to beat them on point and whatever the case, but you're taking lots of bumps and bruises. Whereas the point, if it's just the point, you'll actually get hit harder in the point, but you won't be getting hit 220 times in a fight in the point. Where you know what I mean? You're not in these battles and brawls where you're scratched all up and everything like that. So that was what I found when I came back. Like 2011, I came back and I'm in the gold medal match in Germany, fighting the 3-time German world champion in kickboxing.
Right.
And I beat him, but it was a war. 15 minutes later, I'm fighting Dirk for the golden point.
Right.
Because they don't assume two heavyweights
would be doing
would be both in the gold
at
the same weight. So they put the heavyweights right at the same time.
Right.
And I mean, these are wars, like absolute wars, right? And that's after a week of fighting, whereas the point guys just had a couple fights. I've gone through 4 kickboxing fights and I still have to be sharp 15 minutes after a kickboxing fight. So I lost 2011 to Dirk that way. And in both 2012 and 13, I tore my Achilles. In 2012, I tore my hamstring. In 2013.
What in the world? You have put together with bubblegum and duct tape, brother.
Winning the golds, winning the kickboxing, I got those injuries.
Yeah.
So I had to bow out of the finals of my points. So like I was in the finals for both those points, but I couldn't fight 10 minutes after doing the one, right?
Hey, anybody listening to this or watching this who's dinged up and they're like, yeah, I think I'm going to take a break.
Shut up. Yeah.
No.
I love it. See, I love hearing these stories because, man, that's what it takes.
Exactly.
And why do it if you're not trying to go out there and win, right? I mean, it's fun, but it's fun to win too. So
hey, Danny Campbell's got a question for you. Good one.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about heavyweights. He says, who would you
guys
say are the top 5 heavyweights point fighting competition today?
Yeah. So I guess that could be all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do my best to try to stay along between your program and Point Fighter, just kind of watching a little YouTube here and there. But I mean, it appears that Avery, Cam, would be 1 and 2. Like they'd be the 1 and 2 up there. And then from there, I mean, there's strong heavyweights in Europe. There, you know, see, when I think about heavyweights, I always think worldwide. I don't just think
You should.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't just think NASCAR or NBL. I think the whole world. So, but I mean, you know,
what do you think, Jeff?
Who's the top heavyweight? Is it
I would say Tomas.
Who?
Tomas Imre?
Yeah, but he hasn't competed in like 2 years, bud. I mean, I know a lot of people haven't competed
last year.
I thought he retired.
Is he a heavyweight? Last time I saw him, he was about 175. Is he a heavyweight?
No, he's at least in the mid 190s.
Yeah, I just thought that he had stopped around that same time. Even like he didn't do the last World Championships and stuff that there was. But
yeah, I honestly haven't. I
thought totally.
Well, definitely Chance Turner.
Yeah. Chance is in there. Anthony has to be in there.
So that's 4.
You know, yeah. I mean, but I'd say didn't Tolly win like the heavyweight and super heavyweight?
He's not a heavyweight.
Oh, okay.
He's not a heavyweight. I actually fought Tolly.
And he's not heavy, is he? He's like a middleweight.
I fought him in 2010 Scotland. Actually, I fought him in 2010 Scotland in the open class, and we had a battle, man. I could tell, and he was real young at that time, and I could tell he was going to be something. He's got that seriousness about him, and he's got that work ethic about him, and he really loves the sport. Like a lot of these guys do it as a sport, just kind of in between, or because they're good at it. But some of these guys, you can see, and what I've really been doing these last bunch of years is certain individuals, I try to keep an eye on them a little bit. Like I keep an eye on Roman Brundle a little bit. I keep an eye on my boy in England. He's the lightweight. Elijah Everall. Like, I mean, these kind of guys, but you can tell these guys are like, they're kind of old. They're new school, but they're old school. They just live and breathe the sport. And, you know, so I try to do my best watching those guys.
You know who I was thinking of, Alex? I think I was thinking of Chris Ashton, because I think he was the one. I think he won the heavyweight, the super heavyweight at the Irish Open the last time.
Yeah,
and possibly, I don't know if he won the world title or not, but I think he might have been one of the top ones at that time.
And I think, and I will not attempt his last name, but Christian from Corrali. I don't know if he's done, but that guy's, but I gotta tell you, I would put him up there just because. He is the winningest, and you might not know this. He is the winningest fighter of all time on Corrali. If you pick a guy, Richie Perez, Zolt Barati, Tomas Simre, Laszlo Gumby, Christian is the winningest fighter. In all of Corrali.
I fought Christian twice. I probably should have put Christian's name on this list. Again, it was just me listening right before it went on. But I fought him at the Irish twice. And the first time I fought him was actually in a team fight. I had my students, Stewart Wilkinson, and actually with Jason Grenier. And we did a team fight where Grenier fought Zolt. I fought Christian. And Stewart fought one of the Veras brothers or whatever. But the first time I fought him, I beat him very handily. 2 years later, or 3 years later, I'm fighting him in the Irish Open, and I respect a dude who's big, visually not ripped. His ability and his timing off the line with the reverse punch. It's been so rare in my career when I come forward with a reverse where I actually look and say, he got there first.
Right. And
he did that to me in a fight. He got there first on the reverse punch for an entire 2 minutes. And I went after him. I'm like, bro, like, I don't know, man. I'm impressed. I just, because normally, I can get beat with different things, but with that reverse punch, oh no, this guy's beating me to the punch.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about that. So I've always had a lot of respect for the Corrales. Again, these guys live and breathe it, man. And I think he's done. I think he's just coaching now.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah, I think so.
But those guys, Christian, these guys can fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to attempt his last name either.
No.
47 consonants.
Yeah,
that's just it's Christian. Christian with a K.
We know who he is. Yeah, we know who
you
you are.
We know who he is.
His last name's from Hungary. Christian from Hungary.
There we go. Before we get into this other question that Richard has, list all the different world titles you've won, the different organizations you've competed in.
Okay, so like literally them, like all okay.
Well, sure.
2001 Vienna WKA, the point. So 2001, that was my first one, point. 2002 WK double gold, so continuous kickboxing and point. 2002 in Italy. 2003 Killarney, Ireland. I won the continuous, but I got elbowed and they ripped my nostril off. So they wouldn't allow me to fight the point. I was in the finals of the point, so I didn't get to do the point. Yeah. But then I flew to Paris directly from Ireland. I flew to Paris, and that's a great story too. Is Mr. A had trained me that whole year for full contact. Right. I was actually going to Waco my first time for full contact. not for point. But because my nose got ripped off, they glued it back together. I couldn't pass the medical in Paris. So he signed me up for point. But my whole year had been full contact.
Yeah.
Because I was doing full contact at that time. And so I went to Paris. The doctor looked at me. They're like, bro, like your nose is glued back together. So they switched me to point, and that was my first point world. So 2003 Paris was gold. I did not compete in 2004 because I expanded my businesses. So I didn't actually compete at the Worlds in 2004. 2005 was the story I told you. So I won Niagara Falls kickboxing, Hungary Waco double gold at Hungary Waco. So Wonder Boy and I, he was the light heavyweight, I was the heavyweight. And we both won our golds on
goodness.
Yeah, on ESPN Europe. It was cool. I fought the Russian for gold. It was freaking that was one of my favorite fights I've ever had. And then when I came back, I retired for 3 years. I came back. It was WKA, the last year of the original WKA, 2008 in Florida. I won the point. I got disqualified in the kickboxing. And then
why?
It was the guy, Ken Forrest, the guy in Ireland who took the back of my head and elbowed and ripped my nostril off.
What'd you do?
5 years later, I got him in my division again.
Yeah.
And I just went up to him and I said, you know, I guess we're going to get to have the whole fight today. And I was actually I was straight line blitzing him straight down the pike, dropped him with a spin hook kick to the face. I roughed him up, so I got point deductions and pretty much just in a 2-round fight, if you get 2 minus points, you don't win that fight. Right. Then after the fight, I just said, tomorrow's point, and in point, they won't warn me for power. And he bowed out to me in the point the next day.
No,
Jeez, man.
Man, you just gotta take it, right? That's what we do.
Dude, you I got scar here, man. Like he ripped my nose. So, and in the point,
no, I mean on his end.
I agree with you. Yeah. But he said to me, he said, Ben, like my head, I gotta save it for the finals of the kickboxing. So I'm not gonna fight point today. And then he won his world title and continues. Hey man, to each his own. Yeah. Everyone's got to do their thing.
I
anyway,
get that. But at that point,
he's a great fighter. I was thinking about putting him on my list because his background is those bar in England. They have these full contact bar fights.
Yeah.
His background was that. So when I fought him in Ireland and I was coming at him, it was just natural for him to grab the back of my head and elbow me like this.
Yeah.
So I mean, anyways. I don't hold grudges, but like I'm not good looking to begin with. So when you start ripping my nostrils off, I gotta handle my business. So that was 2008. And then I didn't compete for 2009. So 2011, Germany, WKA. Sorry, WK. WKU. Yeah, sorry. WKA. Yeah, WKA. Kickboxing in Karlsruhe, Germany. 2012, Florida, WKA. It was kickboxing gold again. Tore my Achilles tendon. That was the worst freaking final I ever had to fight was the WKA 2012 because in the semis, I tore my Achilles. My ankle was this big, and check that one on YouTube. I fought the Russian for gold on 1 foot, and I didn't fight the finals in point. I bowed out of the point, but I did want my gold, and I figured based on what I saw from the Russian, he was a Waco full contact guy. I figured he was a plotter, and I could put a lead leg on him, and then fall, punch, and clinch. Yeah. And use my lead leg to pick up points and then just in close hold them so I could stand up because I could only stand on my right foot. Wow. And so that was a fun one. That's on YouTube.
I mean, I want to get up and start training right now. I'm hearing all this. I can't even believe this.
No quit.
2013 was my final year. I told my wife, this is it. I'll get my hip checked out after this. She let me go down to Arizona again. She let me train for a month at Athletes Performance Prepare. I hadn't been in this kind of shape in a decade. And I went to the WK. This is the first year of the WKU. So the split WK, WKU. First year of the WKU in Crete, Greece. and had a great the point, got to the finals in the point, got to the finals in the kickboxing. And in the finals of the kickboxing, I fought the guy I beat in Germany in his hometown. And we had a war. I'm an idiot here. I win the fight. I go back to Mr. A. Mr. A goes, looking strong, man. Go bust an aerial out. Just go bust an aerial out. So I'm like, whatever. So I go and I touch hands. And as I'm coming back, I do an aerial. I landed weird on my foot.
Oh,
I tore my right hamstring.
Oh my God. Wow.
Ben,
In the,
is there like
in the celebration, so pissed off. And do you know what I was attempting was I was going to go to WKU. I was going to do my double gold thing.
Yeah.
Then I was going to stay in Europe because the WKA was in Italy 1 week later.
Right.
And I was going to go home for 3 weeks and then come back to Turkey for the WACO. I was going to try to do every organization, world titles back to back to back. And I go and I'm in the gold for both. I tear the hamstring. I go, and my wife was with me. So we decided, you know what? Let's go to Italy anyways. We'll do it as a vacay. And I walked around Rome for like 5 days, found a masseuse to start rubbing the ham down, and got to Italy. And I saw that WK had 5,000 people at it. It was the dumbest, weirdest tournament, weirdest tournament I've ever seen, but it had 5,000 people, and it had a whole new subset of fighters I wasn't used to seeing. It was like a part of WUMA. Like, I don't know where they all came from.
Couldn't help yourself. You couldn't help it.
But I looked at, I'm like, oh, I have to fight these guys. So,
so
I ended up fighting.
Was that the year that Raymond was there for like a special?
So my goal was to fight Raymond for the 10,000 US open fight.
Right.
My training was for that open class against Raymond. So he gets there and he's like, so I guess it's just you and I, eh? And I'm like, no, man, I'm not fighting you. I need my legs if I'm going to fight you, man. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I tore the ham. So I'm going to try to win this on just hands off my lead leg. Yeah. And 9 days later, after a tear, I won the world title at the WKA, hands only.
You can't make this up. You can't make this stuff up.
I didn't pick up a kick. So that kind of fast forwards to right after that. I went in. I
mean, why not fight Raymond at that point? Why not?
No.
If you're doing, if you're winning everything else.
No. You have to understand that for me, I'm a businessman. I'm a strategist.
Right.
I get.
When I look at this stuff, I don't really want to be in an event that I don't already have won in my mind.
Yeah.
I need to be in a fight that mentally I've already won. So once the mind is right, and this is one of the big problems with fighters, competitors, with entrepreneurs, with karate school owners.
Say you're right on.
Yep.
Is they don't have it right in their mind. Yeah. And when the mind is right, the body follows because the mind is so much stronger than the body. And so when it came to that, I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter how much I can lie to myself about fighting Raymond with no legs. It's just never going to happen. So, but maybe I can win a world titles without my hamstring and just hands. So I did that. A month later, I was at the hospital. They told me my hip was 85 years old. They're like, what are you doing, man? And fall of 2015, I got a hip replacement. So, wow. Yeah.
Man, great.
A lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries. Holy.
And then you've won, the WKU, was it the past 2 years?
Yeah. So,
right.
So this will give you a better understanding as to why I was able to come back, because you've heard now what I was up against when I was fighting, when I should have been okay. And when I was younger and things like that. The funny thing is now is I'm not hurt anymore.
Right.
I used to always be hurt either because I'm doing something dumb like an aerial or kicking too much. So I got the hip replacement, and something I learned in Italy on that very last tournament was when I can't kick, I'm actually smarter. When you put, Alex, when you're putting that leg on someone hard, you're open to the body. You're open to these things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't kick, and I'm controlling the distance. I'm controlling the movement. I never run out of gas anymore because I'm not picking up this stupid heavy leg of mine. and I'm able to use my hands, be full power, full speed, full timing. So the question is why did I come back and start fighting again? Because that doesn't make any sense. And people are like, well, why do you do this? You know, a lot of people did karate tournaments back in the day because they wanted to like make extra money or have a sponsorship, whatever.
Right.
And Mr. Anderson fought because to make money. When he fought, he made money. You got to go to that tournament. They're giving out $500. I'd look at him. I'm like, I don't care about the $500. I care about the moment. I care about being in there in front of someone and just the feeling you get mano a mano going at it in this sport. So for me, I never fought for the money before. I didn't like, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to win $500. I'm going to win $500, but I'm going to spend $1,000 on my flight from Canada. Right. Like, come on.
So
like,
what's the point?
It was never about money to me. And that's the reason why I never even considered sponsorship of any kind from anyone. I self-represented my entire fighting career, never took $1 of sponsorship my entire career. Because I want to choose the tournaments I go to. I want to choose when I'm fighting, when I'm not fighting. And, but the reason why I came back, I stopped in 2013. My son was 3 years old. My daughter was 1. My newest son was not even a thought yet. So when I got the hip replacement, I truly believed I would never fight again.
So you just kind of like, I conceded.
Like, it will never happen again. And I've really never had anything to prove anyways. I feel like I had for the amount of time I competed and when I competed, I thought I did okay. All right. and so, but for me, it ended, and that part of my life, it was missing. It was like that feeling you get where you've got an event coming up or you got a tournament coming up and you're building towards, you're building that momentum, and then you're in that experience. So that was gone. But I was able to replace that with my kids and helping my kids and developing them and putting that time into it. But I honestly never thought I'd fight again. And I got into hot yoga and I just was crushing yoga 5 days a week, as much yoga as possible. And
nice.
Wait.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you crush yoga?
Well, I'll tell you how you crush yoga. When you're 240 pounds and you're in a 105-degree room for hot yoga, for you to survive the 75 minutes, you are crushing yoga. It has got to be the hardest thing on the planet for me right after hip replacement, no strength in my hip. And here I am with all these like 100-pound ladies twisted all over the place. And I'm just trying to survive.
Dude, I don't like 80-degree heat.
No, dude, this is hot, man. This is hot. And I love it because when you've had these injuries. Who am I talking?
You're Canada. I'm from Minnesota. I can understand. I can take 25, 30 below.
No. I need the heat. I need the heat.
I need
the heat. Dude, you're inside and you're wearing a sweater. I know you must be able to take some heat. You know, beautiful sweater, by the way.
I know. Like that one?
Yeah.
Every week.
It's an upgrade. Yeah, it's an upgrade from last week, though. Thanks for bringing it strong for me tonight. So yeah. For me, there was 2 main reasons, and I did the yoga, and I'd set a goal where let me see if I can fight a tournament a year from my hip replacement, and
that's
and I fought at the Kicks tournament 1 year, exactly 1 year later. I fought at the Kicks tournament. I fought 3 different divisions and ended up losing to Jonathan Milot in the Grands, but won my heavyweight division, things like this. And then I didn't do it again for 2 years. I just wanted to prove myself I could do it.
Right.
So then I didn't do it for about a year and a half. And then I starting to feel really strong again. And I called up the club because I mean, I'm never there. I called the club. I said, you got some fighters going. Can I just come in and spar with your guys? Because they had just had a couple guys win world titles. Can I just come in and spar with your guys? And I had not put gear on in 2 years. And that was about 3 months before 2018 WKU. I came in and I'm like, okay, first of all, why am I not running out of gas? Well, think about it. 5 days a week, 105-degree hot yoga.
Correct.
So I'm always used to training now in extreme heat. And one of the big things fighters get is they overheat and they start sweating, they start falling apart. So now I'm sparring. I'm like, why am I not getting tired? Why am I not getting hot? And it was a surreal experience where I'm like, you know what? I freaking should go to the Worlds. Forget this. And I started training. And one of the things that I did was I put it on Instagram, I put it on Facebook, and I said, in 100 days, I'm going to the World Championships and I'm winning double gold. And that's someone who I never thought I would fight again. But in life, I've always felt, and some people don't like this about me, and they've had issues about this with me across anything I've done, is I truly believe you have to be willing to create the accountability in your life for success. And I truly believe that if you truly want something, you have to be able to say, I'm going to do this next year. And I don't mean just writing it in your book with your goals, because I do all that all the time. Yeah. I don't mean just hiding it in your little piece of paper, but I mean, open it up to the world, make it public, make it known, and ask for accountability.
Right.
Because I can tell you right now that if I said I was going to come back and I'm going to win, and then I went there and I was a fat slob and I lost my first fight, at the end of the day, Mr. A taught me. He said, man, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. They might talk bad about you, but no one cares. So you have nothing to lose in life when you go for success, and you can't score the shot you don't take. So the reason I came back and did it, though, wasn't even about that. It was really simple. It was my 3 kids.
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to be able to show them anything more than a YouTube video on me fighting. And they're all old enough to understand. And I really believe leadership for my kids is important. And top-down leadership in life and business is important to your kids. So what better way for my kids than to show them that their dad, across all of these obstacles, decided he's going to do that sport, and that they can actually go and see it, and they can watch it, and they can see me. Now, whether I win or not, but when I leave my house and my kids are like, come home with 2 gold medals, you better come home with 2 gold medals. And I say to them, I guarantee you I'll bring you 2 gold medals. Oh no, this is the way I've always lived my whole life. This is the way. And now they remember. So when I come out and they're having an off day with their training or whatever the case, I can now turn to them and say, guys, it's this success and winning is about the process. It's not about the event. And so many people, they try to peak for this event. They think the event's so important, and that's why they stress over it. Stress over the process, man. Stress over getting up every day and putting your time in. Like June said, do a duty daily. Get up and do something, man. Get up and do something. It doesn't have to be a full workout. Get up and bust some push-ups out, or you know what I mean? Or just go and slap someone or do something. Get some activity in your body. And so for me, it was actually about my kids, not about it. Honestly, like, it's never really been about me. At one time, I wanted to win world titles. Now it's about being able to show my kids that their dad still has it. He can still perform. Bernard, yeah. And I was going to say, Bernard was one guy I left off my list.
No, you didn't. You mentioned him.
I did bring up, no, I didn't bring up Bernard, but Bernard was, Bernard was either a light heavy or a heavy at that time, but he was also on that list in that division at that time. Man, Bernard was he's badass, man, and a good dude. Appreciate you, Bernard. So yeah, it's more about my kids being able to, they're in a race, they're at an event, and I'm talking to them psychologically, because I can train their bodies, but their mind is what's going to make them successful in life. And I want them to be able to I don't want to be that guy, because I coach my kids in triathlon, and I don't want to be that guy, that karate instructor, the big fat do, and the coaches who don't do it. And they know I'll go into hot water, and they're like, Daddy, you're going to fight next month in January. Why? And I'm like, why not?
Oh, this is great.
They're like, okay. They're like, okay. I love it. So I did the 2018. I won double gold, and me coming back in 18 was not to win the 35 division, guys.
No.
It was to win the 18.
Exactly.
So I don't, and the funny thing is the 35s right now, they're stronger than the 18.
Right.
The 34s, in my opinion. They're very, very strong. Yeah. And my hardest fights the last 2 years have all been 35 over. I got this guy from Switzerland. He's given me rough times, man. 2 years in a row. I made him go home with a silver 2 years in a row, but he is like very, very strong fighter. He cut my eye open. He does all kinds of stuff. But yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah. Awesome. You're getting more love as well from Brett.
Yeah, man.
He said, Ben, you should be a motivational speaker. If you don't want to get up and train right now, you ain't listening. No,
all right.
Brett,
all right.
You are right. I said earlier in the show,
you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I love it.
I want to get up. Start going right now. I'm like,
get up and train. Get up and train.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's do this.
He inspires Minnie, highly intelligent. Kayla.
Appreciate you, Kayla. Kayla's one of my managers. She lives in Western Canada for my sales company. She works for me. So you're getting some people on this that aren't karate people as well.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
kind of cool. Getting
All right.
to tune in.
So yes, let's go into this one. Then we're gonna get into January. We're gonna talk about it. What
Exactly.
Bernard?
Okay,
I don't know if you heard the secret to a great comeback, but here it is: hot yoga.
You got it, baby. That's how we do it. Keeps you young. Keeps you
You
young.
swore by it that much.
That's right.
And you've literally had more injuries than
dude,
a dozen people together.
Correct.
I think I'll give it. Has there been? Have you had a shoulder injury?
I've had one through weightlifting, but not through point.
Okay.
So I pretty much injured everything.
You know what? I've been really blessed. I've only had one knee injury.
Better knock on something now.
Yeah, and it was an MCL, and it was Mike Bernardo had a show that almost went on TV called World Karate Superstars. And they were filming it. It was during the filming. It was a really heavy contact, but like they had me as the villain. I had black hair with a goatee and white spikes out of it. So it was like kind of combining WWE and real fighting together. And
so you were like Guy Fieri if you did karate.
I was the bad guy, and Tom Roberts and I fought. Tony Greco and I fought, and but this huge guy named Garfield out of Hamilton blew my knee out in training. But beyond that, the knees, the ankles. Kickboxing, my right ankle all the time, but yeah, I've it is what it is. That's the sport, right? I mean, but every sport has its thing, and I'm just blessed to have my brain. That's the most. The rest of the body can be rebuilt.
Correct.
So, brain, not so much.
Well, let's jump into what your next fight's going to be. So you called out Anthony Merricks.
Yep.
Okay.
Why Anthony?
I haven't followed him at all. He was NASCA, WKC. I've been in the WKU world the last couple of years. Yeah. So when I saw the Virtual Fight Tour 3, so I guess the last one, that was the first one I tuned into, and he fought Chris Robinson.
Yeah.
I'd never seen him fight before. That's the first like that. I've been kind of out of the loop on that, right? I'd never seen him fight before, and watching that fight. I watched his style, and right in the fight, Chris Robinson, big southpaw, right leg forward, put a lot of heat on him early, got a big lead on him, but then Ant kind of weathered the storm through the end of the first round, got into the second round, and you saw Chris starting to decline. His energy started to decline, and Ant started to put the pressure. So what inspired me about Ant was his gas tank, and that he was able to maintain good twitch the whole fight and moving forward the whole fight. So I saw that and I'm like, man, like I like fighting heavyweights. I like actually fighting heavyweights, not 170ers that are fighting as a heavyweight. I like fighting actual heavyweights.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy and I'm like, this would be a really fun fight to have. I think this would be a great challenge. I honestly feel that if they're an actual heavyweight, I can hang with most right now.
I overheard a conversation that you had one time with BJ Carnahan.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was after you guys fought or maybe it was just after he fought somebody and you guys were in the same division.
Yeah.
And you kind of just went up to him, pat him on the shoulder. You go, what? And you went, you know what, man? I like you because you're a real heavyweight.
Yeah.
Some guys are just heavy who fight. You're a real heavyweight. I'm like, because I wasn't a heavyweight at the time. I never really thought of that.
Yeah. No, the actual heavyweights that are in high school, they're 190 pounds and they become a heavyweight earlier in their 20s. I mean, everyone's a little bit different, but with Anthony, it was a respect thing. I actually saw the fight. I thought he was down 9-4 in the first round and he went back and scored 14-5 after that. Like, I'm a stats guy and I watched that. And I'm like, man, you got to have a lot of heart. You got to have the good conditioning. He's got the pedigree. He's with Jesse Ray. So, I mean, he's in the right camp. He's been around good fighters all the time. And I felt that if I was going to like my business season, so my schedule's very tight. So that's why on your show, I was like, just mid to late January. If you can do mid to late January, I'm in, when he thought I was joking that I was calling him out. And I get back, I do my isolation, and then I've got my manager training where I fly all my managers from across Canada. I do a 10-day on stage training for my whole company. So 12 to 14 hours a day, I'm on stage from January 5th to the 14th. I'll have the last week, 1 week to train. Then I'll go to New York, I'll have the fight. And then a week later, I'm flying to British Columbia and I'm gone for 4 months. So I won't even be home, see my kids for 4 months after that. That's my busy season.
Wow.
I do that every year. I'm gone from the start of February until June.
You don't see your kids that
for
whole
4
time?
months. No.
Oh my gosh, that's hard, man.
That's why we have FaceTime.
Oh yeah.
To try to explain that lifestyle to someone who might be used to a 9-to-5 or a karate school or working regionally. But at the end of the day, like I've always looked at it like a pro athlete that goes on the road and has to do his thing to get paid. Right.
Very similar.
And the way I've looked at it is I'm away for 4 months, but I'm physically home 8 months. And with parenting, I truly believe that there's a difference between time and quality time. And there's a difference between you're home for dinner, but you're absent and your kids are going to bed for an hour later than flying across the world and hanging out with your kids for 3 months straight. And I'm able to do those things because I'm willing and my family and my wife is committed to our lifestyle and our model. And for me, I'm a blue collar owner. I'm not a white collar owner. I'm in a van 14 hours a day, driving with my crews, mentoring my guys, motivating my guys. The guy who asked about the motivational speaker, this is what I do for a living, right? I run a sales company with over 600 sales staff across the country. And, so I'm in front, but I'm actually in the van with my guys in the field, raking lawns, aerating lawns, sealing driveways with these guys, getting dirty every single day. Because that's what keeps you young. And that's what allows you as a leader to lead from the front rather than with the whip from behind. End quote.
Jeff, I don't even know what to say anymore.
I told you, man. I told you this was going to be good.
All right. Well, we're definitely going to have to cut some stuff out of the show. If we can
right. Well, yeah. No, that's we're getting ready to finish up, but everyone, if you're get ready and for January, because we're going to have a great time watching Ben, man. I mean, I think he just, if he didn't already have a bunch of fans, he just gained at least 50. So
I didn't answer your question, Alex. Alex, I'm sorry I didn't answer your question. So why did you call him out? I called him out of respect.
Yeah,
okay?
I got
him out of respect. Now, why would I take that fight is the question. So why would I take that particular individual?
Because he's the one who won.
Okay, he won the fight, but there's this thing in the sport karate and in fighting called stylistic. Mm-hmm. There's different styles. There's different styles. Like, to think that Damon Gilbert beat all kinds of different people all over the world, but I had a winning record against him. A lot of people don't know that. Right. A lot of people don't know I had a winning record against Carlos Tierney. A lot of people don't know that. Right. They probably have totally forgotten that. They probably would think that's made up, but I'm a stats guy. I track my stats. Right. But stylistically, I looked at Anthony and I was very quickly able to analyze exactly the approach I would take, how I would fight him. And all I need to take care of between now and then is ensure my conditioning is where it needs to be. So mentally, my mind will come into where it needs to be by fight day, simply by the conditioning meeting where I have my expectation for it. Because I expect it to be a war. I'm ready to come for war. I don't screw around, man. Like I'm coming forward. And as my instructor said, the wounded, if there's the wounded, they will be shot. So I'm coming into the Bronx, man. I'm excited. I'm coming to the Bronx.
This is going to be great. This is going to be great. This is going to be so awesome.
What?
Alex, what's going on here, man?
I can't even believe this.
And I reached out to Ant, just total respect. Like I really appreciate him giving me this opportunity and Jesse Ray giving this opportunity because again, way back in the day, I might have been relevant. So,
Mike P's kind of calling me out here at the same time.
What's he saying?
Well, he's basically saying the question. Alex sounds like he's itching to get back into it as well. He says, "Are you going to give it a try, Alex?" I mean,
well, if you remember when you guys were talking about this a couple months ago, I think I chimed in like, "Alex, let's roll, baby. Let's roll."
let's just put it like this.
But I'll tell you, stylistically, I'd rather fight Ant than you. You're right leg forward. You got a great lead leg. Stylistically, when now my game used to be a lead leg pop sidekick where I could neutralize your hip. My style is very different now. Stylistically, you're not a good fight for me. So I'd have to just literally be grabbing you, like ridge handing you to hell, all for 3 rounds, tiring your ass out.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I'd have to.
Well,
fight.
there was one word in there that was the kind of the key part in there, which was hip, which is these hips.
Oh, they're not flying anymore. They're not doing it
they're
anymore.
all right.
Dude, they're still there, but are they there for 3 rounds?
We don't
3 rounds, baby.
Yeah,
Look it up. Walker World Championships, guys. 3-round fights. 3-round fights.
I know that part.
That's my wheelhouse, baby.
It's a big ring too, and isn't it an 8x8 ring?
I don't know. It's an open mat. Jesse confirmed it is an open mat. It's not the cage.
No,
I asked him about that.
He's talking about Waco.
Walk. No.
I thought they were 8x8.
6s or 7s, but I mean, they're not always that big. They're not always that big. But you got to. The thing about Waco is they literally the foot comes to that side. That's a warning, and then you're into minus points, and you get to last 3 rounds like that. I hope I didn't offend anyone. I don't see any of the comments. I hope
Manuel's telling me not to fall for it. He's like, it's bait, Alex. Don't fall for it. Thanks,
no. I'm just glad
we just sat here for an hour and a half hearing about how he's baited people in.
Yeah, no. Anthony, it's going to be a great fight. I hope I don't disappoint anyone. I'm doing what I can right now to be in shape and be ready for it. Man, I used to be able to lose weight easily. Nowadays, man, you got to put time in.
Oh man, you ain't lying.
It's different.
Putting some time in.
We got to get into some other things now, but
before
we go, every guest that we have gives. I mean, if you haven't been doing it already, gives like a voicemail to the world. What would you give?
We've moved into a very, very unique time in all of our lives right now with the COVID-19, the pandemic. And right now, my biggest fear with COVID-19 wasn't the virus. It wasn't people getting sick, because people are getting sick all the time. People are dying all the time. And, we all show respect to that. My biggest issue with it was the negative effect on people's emotions, the negative effect on people's mindsets, the negative effect on people's forward looking into the future, and for the children, because we have a generation now of children that if they're not parented right, if they're not coached right, and if they're not mentored right, they're walking into elementary schools where everyone's masked up. Don't touch that. Don't move over, when this is supposed to be a social experience where they really grow and have that connection. So my voicemail to the world would be: keep your heads high. Be willing to evolve, be willing to change. I know I had to for my business. I had to adapt for my business, and be willing to change, be willing to adapt, keep your head up. Will this last forever? Well, no, it won't. But at the end of the day, that's not an excuse for not performing every single day. And if right now your business is shut down, if right now your career's on hold, or you're struggling right now, use this time to elevate your mind. Use this time to elevate yourself, to self-discipline yourself, to training more, to enriching yourself with personal development, to creating more value for yourself in the marketplace. Because right now, maybe your karate school is going to go under, and it wasn't anything to your fault. Your freaking state is being shut down for 6 months. I can't believe California, and it's shut down for months. And this is guys that own businesses for 20, 25 years, ran great businesses. They're losing their careers. They're losing it, but they don't have to lose their mindset. They might lose their business. They might lose some money. They might lose some finances. But at the end of the day, it's the mindset that got them there that can get them there again. And maybe they're going to get there a different way this time. But keep your head high, guys. Keep working hard. I feel for every entrepreneur out there. I try not to be. I get a little bit fired up with this kind of stuff right now, because I'm seeing a lot of lives destroyed right now.
Correct.
And I really hope everyone keeps their head. And if anyone wants to talk, if anyone's seeing this, they own a business, they're an entrepreneur, This is what I do, guys. I help entrepreneurs, and I'm happy to take anyone's call, anyone's Facebook message, give you some tips, give you some ideas, or maybe just give you, a pat on the back saying, keep your head up and keep going, man. But I'm happy to do it.
So people should take you up on that.
Yes, they should. Love it, man. I love it. Where can anyone find you on social media? Because you have. So, I don't know. Can you guys still hear me? We're okay?
Yeah, Jeff, you just kind of went out for a moment.
Yeah, no problem. So
you're good now.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Jeff, you got a buzz there.
Yeah, nice. On Facebook and LinkedIn, it's just my name, Ben Stewart. Just my name, Ben Stewart, on Facebook or LinkedIn. On Instagram, it's at University, the number 4 entrepreneurs. So I have an online university that I help entrepreneurs with their businesses, and that's apart from my traditional business. But at University for Entrepreneurs on Instagram.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming, Ben. I have a feeling this will not be the last time you're on, man.
Yeah, we got more to go. I appreciate you guys. That was a lot of fun. I apologize for going overtime. I'm sure you're gonna have to cut half of my stuff, but that's okay. I appreciate you guys.
We're live, brother.
We're live. Oh, well, then they all got it. They got it.
Yeah.
And, I hope no one's upset, because I tend to upset people. I hope no one's upset. They're going to be okay. We're all going to survive. And tune in January 23rd, Virtual Fight Tour 5. The old man, the bionic dude self, coming to New York City. Anthony Merrick's. Hope you're training, brother. Hope you're training.
Bionic is accurate. Yes.
Hope you're training. Hope you're training, baby.
Man.
Let's roll.
All right, Ben. Jeff and I are going to keep going into some other predictions. It was great to have you, brother.
Yes, sir. No problem.
All right,
yeah, man. Have a great one, man.
Cheers. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. We got you.
All right. Okay. So let's do our quick predictions for Virtual Forms Tour.
I'm trying to pull up the
point, right?
The forms list, or do you have it?
I have it in my head. So I've seen it enough. We're having a meeting right now. So
okay.
That I'm supposed to be in, but it's all good, man. This comes first. So guys, get ready this weekend, 6 p.m. Saturday, Virtual Forms Tour. The first one is the junior battle. So that is going to be Dawson Holt, Ben Jones, and Esteban Tremblay. So this is going to be just amazing. This is probably going to be the best, the most like well-rounded one of it. Every division, like it could go either way on it. So it's going to be great. And this is the best way to lead it off, I think. So it's going to be entertaining, fun. We did a talk last night on the show with me, the other.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Michael and Jackson.
I was all over it.
It's going to be great. So
who do you got?
Man, so for me, man, this is tough. I guess I'm going to go with Esteban. That's who I think I'm going to go with because I've talked a lot about the presence and the charisma and also just the difficulty that he has on both. But honestly, like I'm not going. I mean, I think it could.
You don't got like a dog in the fight.
No, I don't. Yeah. I just kind of like. I'm just going to go with Esteban, but I think Dawson is probably the cleanest. And with the judges, that may, the judges that we have, that may be, what happens. So we'll see. What do you think,
Alex? I'm going to go.
I know you're going with, but go.
Hang on, my mic's messing up on me.
I can hear you. You're good.
All right, I'm going Ben Jones, and I'm not apologizing. That kid is legit.
Yeah.
All right, Ben Jones, he's the winner. Go ahead. Let's lock it up. Write it down right now.
All right. So next one is our traditional battle. So this is going to be interesting. I think most of us in America are probably we know Mason Starl.
We know Mason Starl well. We know him. If you've seen open karate tournaments in the U.S., you would know Mason.
Right. So for me, going with Mason isn't really, surprise for most. The only thing is though, is that like I'm a Shotokan guy. So I really like that Ali is doing Shotokan and I'm excited to see that. I'm more just excited about this bout, but I mean, USA, man.
I'm gonna go with Ali.
All right. Wow. All right.
I got this feeling. I'm gonna go with him.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have a feeling that Ali will, but I'm just saying, who would I be rooting for if I was rooting for someone?
Yeah, I don't really have anybody to root for.
Yeah.
I mean, I get you. Yeah, go USA. I get that part.
Yeah.
But nah, let's do this. Ali.
Yes, Brett. There will be WKF knowledgeable judging. There are going to be 3 WKF judges that are world judges.
No.
And
You
then
can't call them that. Apparently, you can't call them that.
Can't call them what?
You can't call them WKF judges.
Okay, WKF style. He said it. WKF knowledgeable judges.
Right.
There, WKF knowledgeable judges. So you have that, and then there's 2 other U.S. traditional knowledgeable judges. So.
All right. Next one.
Next
What's
one.
the next one?
All right. So the females, we have Sammy,
Oh yeah.
Noelle, and Solange. So who do you got?
I'm going Noelle. I mean, I think this is kind of what I mentioned last night when you guys were doing the show. I think this is the only one where there's a clear-cut favorite,
right?
In Sammy.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna go with Noelle.
So,
I dig Noelle. I think she's fantastic, and I think this could be the time where she could really all of a sudden become something, because it's really Sammy and then everybody else. But if one of these girls wins, then it's like, oh, okay, now maybe there's a thing,
Right. So I don't know. I mean, to go different than you, so that way we're not always the same. Like
because you were gonna pick Noelle also.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I feel like Noelle is the next.
She is it.
Female. She's the next one, the next champion. So I really think she could win, but I'm going to go with Sammy. I think, that's a good lock.
Hey, ain't nobody
all right,
mad at you.
Next one.
No, this is
all right. This is the last, man. This is going to be interesting. So
hey, Jesse asked a good question on CTE, and he said, "Hey, who would you have picked if Alan Davies was still in?"
I would have picked Alan Davies.
You know what? Me too.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. And I'm like,
to me, he was the best overall, all around.
I think I would have picked Alan Davies.
And weapons of both forms and weapons, I felt it would have been Alan. So, but you don't. That's what's cool about this being a three people. It makes it where it could go up and down. You know what I mean? And it could really be like all of those judges have the complete opposite. Like they have. I have this person first. You have him third. The other person has him that second. I mean, this is how you get. This is the only way you can actually get a tie, an actual tie in a NASCAR tournament, is with 3 competitors. You know what I mean? So
right.
That's what's cool about this. So,
all right.
Who are you picking?
You're asking me. I picked first last time. I know who I want, but I'm gonna let you go.
I'm gonna go. This is tough. So the most active right now is Rashad, and I think he is going to, him and Shaquan both want to put on a show, and they're going to do whatever it takes to put on a show. I think the overall solid competitor that is going to put on the best performance or the possibility to is Connor. So I'm going to go with Connor.
You're picking the Connor, not just he's a big underdog.
Yep.
Because he wasn't. You're picking Connor. All right, I'm going Shaquan.
All right.
I think Shaquan will have our jaws dropped that much. The only thing I wonder though is
I think
has Shaquan already showed us everything? That's the question.
I don't know. I don't think so.
We've seen him. We see 17 posts a day from him on TikTok.
Right.
But has he showed us everything that he's going to do? I don't know. But I'm still picking him.
But it's the form. He's not just doing tricks. He's doing a form. And so I think in the forms aspect, he is the favorite in the form. So the weapons part, it's who knows? I mean,
I could see Connor winning it. But Jackson had a good take on Connor's comma. He always kind of seems to bring it right behind his back the same way with the same hand. I would say Rashad would have the up the edge on that as far as the weapons. So, but then here's what you forgot, though. What does the tiebreaker come down to?
Right. I didn't forget that. So who said I forgot that?
I would
Did
have
I forget
assumed
that?
you would
No.
then.
Why would I forget that?
So it comes down to a trick battle at the
So
end.
if it a weapons trick battle. So if it comes down to weapons trick battle, I think the favorite in that is Rashad. So I mean it could definitely happen. So what do you mean?
I think if it comes down to a tie, Shaquan's still going to find a way to fly with a weapon in his hand.
But what does that really matter? With combos in your hand?
Well, I guess we're going to have to watch it and find out.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's it's a weapons trick
Who
battle.
knows? Maybe he throws him across the room and then literally flies like Superman and grabs him out of the air.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I'm excited to see it. I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be commentating on it. So I'm going to shut up because then, they're all going to be mad at me, at the end. So, which is fine. I'm used to that, right? Not putting any respect on people's names. So,
Man, whatever. It's just, we did it so quick. It's whatever.
I know. It's all good. Is that it? Are we done with the show?
That's it. That's it for the show, man. We had a long show today.
Yes,
but man, I can't wait to go back and listen to the show again as well.
We had this. Go and check out Virtual Forms Tour. Also, there's going to be some exciting fights in the Pro Point. So I think both of us kind of. Did we both predict who we thought would win it?
I didn't predict the winner, but I did predict Jason versus Jack in the final.
Yeah. I did the same thing. So I just.
And you picked Jack.
Yes.
Because you are always going to pick Jack.
Well, Jack and Jason, that's kind of tough because that's.
Oh, that's fun. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
To go against the grain, I'll pick Jason.
all right.
Because I want. It's fun when we have something different. All right.
There you go.
So we'll do that. We'll do it that way.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys this weekend and see you next week.